Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. Hey, you know what? This nerd,
Nerdarchy is Ted.
this monster BFF is going to bring you twice the Despicable Me. Jump down the description below where you find Nerdarchy, the newsletter, gain weekly tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So this monster BFF was sent in through Patreon by David Erlandson. We have the Ettin and Quasits.
So you did a poll over on our Patreon, and
Indeed.
that's how this came about. And what exactly was it? Was it monster pairings?
Well, it
Did you
wasn't.
frame it as monster BFFs? What did you do over there?
It wasn't so much as a poll, but I basically said, look,
A post.
We do BFFs all the time. So I was like, you know what? There are lots of awesome gamers out there that support us on Patreon. So I'm like, you know what? Do you guys have anything that you've used in your game, either thematically or mechanically, that you think would be a cool idea? And they shared a handful with us. So I'm like, you know what? Let's turn them into videos.
So you're looking at the Quasit right now, and I'm looking at the N. What is the intelligence on a Quasit?
7.
And what is the wisdom?
10.
So they're equally wise as an N and slightly smarter.
Yes.
And what is their charisma?
The Quasit's charisma is a 10.
They are much more likable than the Ettin. So that being said, we kind of had an idea for this, and I don't know if that's how what you described to me off camera is how it was put to you by the patron.
David described it as it'd be an amusing thing where if the Quasits were kind of stuck here on the prime material and they encountered an Ettin, that they might see him as kind of an emissary or chosen or whatever have you of Demogorgon, because Demogorgon's got 2 heads, Ettins have got 2 heads. Clearly, this is not coincidence.
Right. And they're not really smart either. Like they have intelligence, they're sentient, but they're not smart. 7 intelligence is 3 points below average.
So you could have a situation where the Quasits find this thing and convince it that it really is a chosen of Demogorgon.
Because they're slightly smarter than it.
Because they're smarter than it is. And there's a group of them, so well clearly the numbers make a difference, and if they're willing to do things for it, the Ettin would totally be down for it. So, and then you kind of came up with an idea of, well, what if it actually was? So either because they told him it was, or because legitimately, he was.
I've got a whole campaign arc percolating around this. Let me just tell you. So here's what happens, right?
All right.
For whatever reason, these Quasits are here, and there's a bunch of them. There's a lot. Listen, just have you seen Despicable Me? Right? You guys seen Despicable Me, right? Well, and then you have the prequel, basically the prequel, the Minions movie. Right. Well, essentially, like I'm envisioning the Quasits as the Minions, literally from they're about as smart as well too, right? With supernatural evil powers. But anyway, I'm envisioning like Despicable Me and the prequel where the Minions are like, we need a boss. And we just want to follow somebody, right? And for whatever reason, they get brought here to be Minions, but something happens to their guy, right? So now they don't have a guy, now they're looking for a guy. They go on this epic quest. And they find this Ettin, right? They find this young, runtish Ettin off by himself, and they're like, he's the guy, and maybe they came from the layer of the abyss that Demogorgon rules, right? That's where they got pulled from. I don't really know why, and you don't even have to explain why there's so many of them here, and or maybe they even find ways to bring more of them here or multiply or whatever. But whatever, there's droves of these things now, and they decide that this Ettin is the chosen of Demogorgon because he is the ugliest Ettin they've ever seen. It literally looks like he fell off the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down. Like most Ettins have an 8 charisma, he's got a 4. He is so ugly, his face is deformed and stuff. So they're like, this must be the chosen of Demogorgon. Look at him, he's beautiful, he is gorgeous. In previous editions of D&D, literally your charisma score could be so low that a super high charisma score would give you like this awe factor. Well, you could get it could be so low that you get the same thing, but it's like a disgust.
You get a horror factor.
Yeah. So in like AD&D,
right?
Well, we got that going on, right? And for years they follow this guy around. And just from them all worshiping him for so long and serving him, he actually develops divine powers that are being whether it's the collective consciousness or of the Quasits over an extended period of time.
Or maybe just the pooled resources of so many Quasits that Demigorgon finally was like, what is going on over there?
Yeah, he's like, idiots, you're all idiots. But let's see what can happen. This is going to be hilarious.
So we found over on page 348 the priest template, or the priest NPC. And these things all really, in my opinions, they work as templates. You can just lift some of these things and slap it right down on said something else. And for most of what's here, it's not going to really be useful. This guy's got a 16 wisdom. We don't got a 16 wisdom over here.
No, he's not even using. He's not even going to. He's probably not going to use the spells that often.
So if we rip out the spell casting, no, they're probably crap because he's probably not going to be casting the spells. But the important part is divine eminence, so that he can essentially smite on top of his already 2d8 damage.
Yes. So I would start this off as a campaign where like the players are contacted by like the farmer Jed, right? He's like, something weird's going on in my farm. Things are getting broken, things are going missing, and the chickens keep hatching with two heads. Or,
Nice.
we had a two-headed calf, and, the chicken thing is going on. And, or, like a bunch of snakes slither through the farm and they're all two-headed. Like, this two-headed theme is definitely going on.
Right.
And so the idea is, like, the Quasits are, like, poisoning the water or fouling the food and stuff like that. The milk is coming out of the cow spoiled. Like, there's all these, like, supernatural taboo things going on. So they investigate, which is going to lead them to the Quasits, right?
Right.
I wouldn't even lead them, or maybe not even the Quasits. Maybe the Quasits have minions too, right? Like kobolds or something.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe the minion, the minions have gathered their own minions. They've gathered up kobolds, and the kobolds are led by a crazy alchemist who's mixing up this poison, this arcane poison or disease or whatever, and he's dumping it on the farm, and they're mutating animals. And it's freaking out the farmer, and it's also starting to cause real problems too, because like the milk's spoiled. They're putting down these deformed animals because they don't, they're superstitious. They don't want to eat them. And actually, it's probably a good idea because they're mutated. So like they could deal with the kobolds first. The raiding parties and figuring out that the kobolds are involved, and then they finally like track the kobolds back to their lair, and it turns out like the head crazy alchemy kobold, which there might be one in Volo's guide. If not, I'm pretty sure there's one in Toma Beast. Is the guy that's like in charge of all the kobolds, but he's got a Quasit familiar that's like whispering in his ear. And like so, you follow the breadcrumbs back, and you figure out that there's actually this like little community or big community, depending how you want to play it, of Quasits, and they're worshiping this Ettin.
So I totally see a ramshackled, maybe not so much throne, but comfortable chair, and he's got a ramshackle crown, maybe crowns, I guess I should say, of like maybe of the pilfered items, maybe a cracked bowl or bent silverware, enough to really elevate this guy. And since he's so stupid, he's willing to accept anything.
And it turns out, like I would actually do something too, like where it turns out he's not even really the bad guy. Like he had no idea they're doing this stuff. He doesn't really care. They bring him stuff. It's cool.
Like,
He's
hey,
just chilling.
As long as I got food, I don't care.
Right. But then the players come in. They start laying about on his minions. And he's like, you can't just be bashing my minions. They bring me stuff. They're cool. And then we're like, oh my god.
Expect me to have to go get my food myself?
Yeah, it's totally ridiculous. So, but it would open things up if the players like actually delved a little deeper before going into it. They might be able to negotiate an end to this, because it's not really that, because the Quasits follow the Ettin, and the Ettin isn't really doing this stuff. The Quasits are just doing it in his name. And he's like, I don't know, they bring me stuff. They hang out. It's all good. They rub my feet when they're sore. But, if the players show up and they start attacking his minions, and then he's going to have to step up, and he's going to smack the barbarian for 4 die 8 plus 10 damage if he hits with both attacks, plus plus
10 die 6
plus
from
done
2.
6 from his divine eminence, which is going to really hurt. That would even make a raging barbarian think twice. He's got a +7 to hit, so his chances of hitting aren't terrible. What's a barbarian going to have armor class? He's going to have like an armor class between like 16 and 20. I think even 20 is really high.
Yeah, 20 is when you've maxed out both stats. So.
Yeah. So you figure, so he's probably 16, 18 with a shield maybe. So he needs 11 or better, hit him twice, and that would feel so good as the DM. It's definitely something I want to do. I would like doing the Blood Fang. I like hitting him hard for some reason. And I've done it a few times with the Trent, so it was beautiful. And he's just like, ah. Whatever. It's just how I have fun, guys.
It's a masochist. What can I say?
Yeah, we have a cleric to put them back together. So that's my idea. I don't know. How would you do it?
Well, I mean, you could literally have this be a single encounter if you want to just have it as a one shot. But I totally dig the actual story arc of it. And you brought it up as this is a campaign. This could be like a full-on session arc for a low-level campaign, or if you really wanted to protract it out further, you could take and give the Ettin more hit dice from being the cleric or warlock of Demogorgon, and the Quasits could be elevated to other things. The Quasits could be there, and you could have other fiendish creatures that are lurking about. You could have other humanoids that are in service to Demogorgon and thus the Ettin. So like this could be like your campaign arc from 1st through 10th level with this guy being your big bad.
I think thinking in those terms, like extending the campaign out, I think I would do it just how I said. The players defeat him, kill him. Then, like, from the abyss, Demogorgon reaches out and is like, "Rise, my servant." And then, like, you template him with some kind of undead as well. And it could literally just be a zombie. You look at the ogre zombie, look at that, and start figuring things out. You could literally just, tack on the whatever the zombie ability is to not really die very easily, increases hit dice a little bit. You could look at the Death Knight, if you really wanted to be evil with it, and start mapping things together over there.
Death Knight would be much further back, but I mean you could slap the half fiend template on him instead of undead, and have him be more of a fiendish resurrection.
Well, we don't have a half fiend template.
You have a half fiend.
The Cambion, look at the Cambion and go, okay, how can I meld these two monsters together? What does that look like? And have him rise up that way. But I feel like if he's already been killed, he should be undead. But yeah, the key it's not really so much of like using a template. It's just mashing two monsters together and going, oh, how would this work out? Like I said, I would look at the various undead and be like, what's going to be somewhere between, between an and whatever that is to give them that next boost. If the campaign, if we're saying that the campaign was like, we could take them somewhere from 1 to 10ish, depending. Well, where can we then get it to 15th or something? Because what's cool about that is then like you're literally putting them on the trajectory to go. All right, eventually you're going to have to take on Demogorgon. You're going to eventually have to take on the Demogorgon, right? Oh, and it all stems from like these Quasits that are like minions. Like, we need a boss. Look, you look like Demogorgon. You're so ugly. You're beautiful. You're the guy. And then eventually, like either through their worship or whatever, Demogorgon notices they're doing a thing over there, and he's like, yeah. Bip, gives him just a little bit of juice, and he's like, okay. And then, but then maybe later on, Demogorgon realizes, wait a minute, you guys just stomped the guy I gave juice to. Do I care about him? No, but I care about the fact that you stomped him after I gave him the juice. It doesn't happen that way, right? And then, then Demogorgon's involved, and he's like, well, I'm just going to give him a little more juice, and because it made me look bad, and we need a little redemption here.
Yeah, Demogorgon rarely needs motivation for
chaos.
For chaos. So it's like, hey, He was.
You undid what I did.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
So
I'm undoing what you did that I did. Becomes a whole thing, But and then from there, like it starts becoming personal for Demogorgon, and he wants to, he's going to get involved, and it's going to be personal for the players too, because they're like, well, we can't have Demogorgon reaching into the prime material plane messing with stuff. It's no good. The Demogorgon, anyway.
Indeed.
So, guys, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Would you use this in your game? Have you used something similar? While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can hang out with us over on Facebook.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.